Have you ever paused to consider how rapidly technology is reshaping our creative world? I mean, particularly in fields as deeply human as music. It's truly mind-bending sometimes. Have you ever wondered what happens when something like music, something so human, collides with something as computationally powerful as AI? Today, we're taking a deep dive into an absolutely fascinating set of sources from Lee Barry, specifically his insights on what AI thinks what I think. And here's the wild premise. Lee had large language models analyze decades of his own music writings, like from 1997 all the way to 2024, and then use another AI to create new content from that analysis. So what happens when, a lifetime of human thought gets fed into and then spit out by an algorithm? What does it truly mean to be creative when AI enters the studio? And maybe more importantly, what does it demand of us, the audience? Okay, let's unpack this.
It's an immediate plunge into a crucial tension, isn't it? This whole process, it highlights what our sources call the game of telephone effect, where content gets reshaped multiple times, especially by AI, and experiences significant transmission loss.
Transmission loss, like making a copy of a copy.
Exactly. Think of it like that. The original fidelity starts to blur. Maybe the essence gets diluted or even distorted. And this raises a really fundamental question right from the start. In this new sort of hybridized creative landscape, what role does the human actually play? Our sources are pretty emphatic here. They state there always has to be a human in the loop.
Always a human needed. Okay.
Right. So our mission today is to explore how AI isn't just changing how music is made, but maybe fundamentally reshaping what we even consider music to be, how we consume it, and what it all means in our digital age. We'll be looking at new ways to define sound, the surprising paradoxes of AI's creativity, and importantly, what the future of listening might demand of you, the listener.
Okay, so starting with this profound transformation, one of the most striking ideas I found in these sources is how our very definition of music might be shifting. It suggests we might need a new taxonomy, maybe moving from just music to something else, like we need a new lens to even view sound.
Precisely. And a truly intriguing aspect here is this emerging distinction they draw between music and musing.
Music versus musing. Okay, what's the difference there?
So the sources define music fairly traditionally. Compositions focused on melody, harmony, structure, that kind of thing. But musing describes contemporary works that incorporate broader cultural elements, things social values, political context, maybe abstract concepts.
So it's wider than just the notes.
Exactly. And it's not a value judgment, not at all. What starts as musing, something provocative, maybe pushing boundaries, maybe even jarring when it's new, that can actually evolve into music over time as it gains historical perspective as we develop a common understanding.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Think about Nine Inch Nails. Initially, their sound, their message, it was so abrasive, right? So tied to a specific cultural moment. You could argue it felt like musing. But over time, as their influence solidified, their works became recognized as, foundational music within rock and industrial genres.
Huh. That really shows how it's always in motion, doesn't it?
It really highlights the temporal nature of art, always evolving.
And the sources even suggest we might need a whole new field, like a musics, analogous to physics, to cover all these rhythmic, temporal expressions that don't quite fit the old boxes, but still carry immense cultural weight. So if we embrace this idea of musics like physics, what kind of questions would it tackle that traditional musicology might miss? What are the new lenses?
Well, it's about moving beyond just analyzing notes and scales. It's trying to understand the physics of cultural impact and the sonic experience itself. A field like musics could explore things like how do certain sonic frequencies affect group psychology, or how do rhythm and temporal structures influence memory and narrative, especially in digital spaces. It looks at the architecture of sound beyond just composition.
The architecture, how sound occupies space, interacts with attention.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, and speaking of architecture, if we broaden that perspective, the sources argue that the most meaningful artistic work often comes from what they call an architectural approach.
Architectural approach to creating.
Right. It's about building frameworks for play first, and then decorating those structures more intuitively. It emphasizes that the initial idea is often the easy part. What really matters is the sustained engagement, that flow experience, where your brain is just absorbed in the process.
Yeah.
And Brian Eno's principle fits perfectly here. Go to an extreme and retreat to a more useful position. That oscillation, that back and forth, it prevents getting stuck or going too far off track.
So it's about the journey, the process, not just the final thing.
Exactly. The journey of creation.
Okay. And this brings us to something the sources identify as a really profound paradox regarding AI's role in creativity. AI is this incredibly sophisticated tool, obviously, but it's fundamentally different from, say, a guitar or even software like Autotune. How do they characterize that unique interaction?
Yeah, it raises the big question. What exactly is AI's role in creativity? Is it a tool, a collaborator, something else? Our sources describe AI music generation as curiously, well, left-brained.
Left-brained, how so?
It functions more like an advanced search engine, really dependent on the quality of your query, rather than being a truly imaginative partner. It feels a bit like ordering from a menu instead of cooking from scratch, you know? It often lacks that essential artistic risk, that spark of truly novel intuition.
Right, it finds things, it doesn't invent in the same way.
Precisely. And the concern isn't really about replacement, but that AI might sort of gaslight our own creative powers.
Gaslight.
How?
By making us doubt our unique contributions. Because the AI can generate something technically perfect so easily, so quickly. And this can lead to what the sources call a banalization of conceptual art.
Banalization, meaning it makes it less interesting, less deep.
Kind of.
Sure.
Imagine, say, a landscape painter using AI to generate perfect sunsets based on millions of existing images. Sure, it might be technically flawless, beautiful even, but does it carry the same unique vision, the same artistic struggle, the same subjective interpretation as one crafted through actual human experience and effort?
Probably not. It misses the human part.
That's the fear, that AI makes art too easy, maybe too safe, and it ends up flattening the conceptual edge.
That makes a lot of sense. The risk isn't that AI is bad at art, but almost that it's too good in a way that bypasses the struggle, the perspective that makes art feel, well, like art. But then there's also an optimistic counter-argument presented, isn't there? A flip side.
Absolutely, there is. The optimistic view is that AI music could actually become the new radio.
The new radio for learning.
Yeah, kind of a learning ground for young musicians. They can play along with it, they can dissect it, analyze what the AI generates, and then hopefully transcend it, provided we maintain human agency and critical engagement. That's key.
So AI as a catalyst, not the end creator.
Exactly. Less about AI as the creator and more about AI as a catalyst for new kinds of human learning and innovation in music.
So you have this duality, the risk of flattening art, but also this potential for a new kind of apprenticeship. It's complicated.
Very. And it doesn't stop there. We had another major challenge these sources bring up: the clash between music's inherent nature and how we consume content today.
Ah, the attention economy. Right, music is temporal and needs time, sustained attention.
Yet we live in this attention economy that rewards the quick hit, the instant scroll.
How does that clash play out, according to the sources?
Well, one particularly striking observation is how this mismatch really impacts complex musical forms. When attention spans shrink, temporal arts just suffer.
Temporal arts, things that unfold over time.
Right, those that demand sustained engagement. We're seeing what the sources call an aesthetic erosion.
Aesthetic erosion, meaning things get dumbed down.
Or flattened, maybe. The artistic experience gets flattened into easily digestible, algorithm-friendly content bites. The internet itself almost becomes an instrument, shaping art towards viral compatibility rather than artistic depth.
Wow, the internet as an instrument. That's a powerful image.
Isn't it? Even pop music, which the sources still describe, kind of amusingly, as stupid yet profound. Even that is now roughly 80% sound.
80% sound, meaning the texture, the vibe.
Yeah, desirable sonic texture, something that just sounds cool or grabs you instantly,
Yeah.
can literally start an entire song and basically determine its potential for virality.
So the challenge is acknowledging this reality, but trying to keep space for deeper stuff.
Exactly. Acknowledging this reality while ensuring there's still space for music that prioritizes, say, human need and sustained engagement over just commercial success or going viral instantly.
Yeah.
It does make you wonder, doesn't it, if we'll look back at this era and say, remember when music demanded more than like 15 seconds of your attention?
Yeah, it really does. So given all these shifts we've talked about, the new definitions like musing, AI's weird paradoxical role, this attention economy flattening our aesthetic experience, what does it mean for artists and for us, the audience? How do we adapt? How do we navigate this future of sound?
Well, broadening the perspective again, the sources remind us that music has always been open source, in a way.
Open source. How so?
Standards exist, but they're always being modified, reimagined, repurposed to serve creative goals. This flexibility is music's greatest strength, really. Its ability to adapt to incorporate new elements.
Okay.
So what's crucial for artists in this new era, as our sources suggest, is maybe embracing what they call flexible identity.
Flexible identity, not sticking to one brand or style.
Right. Rather than strict brand loyalty to themselves or their past work. It means artists kind of need permission to evolve, to abandon signature styles if they want to accept that they might have a series of voices that emerge from different moments, different technologies, different understandings of what art can even achieve.
So less about building a fixed brand, more about following the creative impulse wherever it leads.
And maybe focusing on creating art that people genuinely need, rather than simply desire or consume passively.
And this applies to us, the listener, too. How do we adapt?
Absolutely. For you, the listener, adapting means maybe seeking out the new, the challenging, embracing the idea that art is a living, breathing thing that requires a bit of effort on our part, too. To connect this all to the bigger picture, then, what really stands out is just the profound transformation music is undergoing. From these evolving definitions like music versus musing to the very architecture of creativity being reshaped by AI. And this constant battle between temporal art that needs time, and the demands of the attention economy. We've seen how AI, while it's a powerful tool, is fundamentally kind of left-brained, acting more like an advanced search engine than a truly intuitive partner. And we touched on the risk of the banalization of conceptual art, that flattening effect. Yet there's also that optimistic view, right? That AI music could become the new radio, a learning tool for young artists. But the critical thread, the thing running through all our sources, is the absolute necessity of maintaining human agency.
Human agency, keeping the human in control, making the decisions.
Exactly. Using AI as a collaborator, maybe a sophisticated tool, but not a replacement. Music, as we said, has always been open source in spirit. It adapts and incorporates. And this requires artists, maybe now more than ever, to embrace that flexible identity over strict loyalty to just one way of being.
So, okay. What does this all mean for you, the listener, tuning in right now? And for the future of sound itself, our sources seem to suggest that the real revolution isn't just in the tools we use to make music, but maybe in our willingness to use them in service of something larger, something more than just efficiency or, chasing virality. Maybe the most radical act in this emerging landscape is actually the most traditional one, creating or even just seeking out and supporting temporal art, art that demands your sustained attention, that unfolds meaning over time, that truly asks you to engage deeply rather than just scroll past. So as we wrap up this deep dive, maybe consider how you consume music today. Are you engaging deeply, or are you kind of letting the algorithms flatten your aesthetic experience? The future of sound, it seems, really depends on our ability to remain human, deeply human, while embracing the inhuman capabilities of our new creative partners, 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 of our new creative